Here we have a made-up data set consisting of student grades for all the components of the subject that they've done throughout the semester. So we've got on one spreadsheet how students performed in terms of the project. On another spreadsheet we've got information in terms of how they performed on the mid-semester exam. And on the final spreadsheet we've got information about how they performed in the final exam. And what we'd like to do is collate all of that information into one spreadsheet where we can calculate the overall grade for that student. Unfortunately, all the information from each of those components is all in different orders, and so it's not clear how we're going to link all that information together, particularly when we've got over 300 students. The best way to do that in Excel is to use the VLOOKUP function. And to illustrate that, I've got an example here. With the project grade, I'm using the VLOOKUP and I'm looking up the student's identification number, in this case 83303-213, which is Nicholas Aboud's student identification number. It's then going into the project spreadsheet, looking at the column A, which is where those student identifications reoccur, but in different orders, and getting all the information about the students in terms of their name and their mark from A2 to D361. It's then returning the information contained in the fourth column, which is in fact the grade that that student achieved in the project. And we're using false as the last argument in this function because we want to get an exact match. And as you can see, it's returned the number 64 for Nicholas Aboud, and we can verify that that's what that student achieved. Clicking on the project, we can see that that's what Nicholas achieved in the project. Let's see what we do for the mid-semester exam. All that we have to do is just update the information here in terms of the spreadsheet that it's referring to. And if I click on this little FX, you can see that in a little bit more detail. Once again, we're looking up the information in A9, which is the student number, 8330213. We're looking at the mid-semester exam spreadsheet, and we're looking from A2 all the way down to D361, which is all the information we have about the students on the mid-semester exam. And we're going to ask it to return the information found in the fourth column. So 1, 2, 3, fourth column corresponds to the mid-semester exam grade. And because we want to get an exact match, we type in the word false, which is what the formula tells us to do when we want to get an exact match. So we press OK, and we can see that Nicholas achieved a mark of 70 based on using the VLOOKUP formula. And just to verify, that's in fact what Nicholas achieved in his mid-semester exam. So let's see how we would type this into the spreadsheet for the final exam. We type in the word equals VLOOKUP, we open the bracket, and we tell it which value, we tell Excel which value would it like to look up, and that's contained in A9. We then tell it where all that information is to look for, which is the table array. And I'm now going to click on the final exam spreadsheet and say that I would like to look in the final exam spreadsheet from A2 across to column D, so that it gets all the information. Notice that I've gone across 4 columns there. And all the way down to the 361st row, which is every single student in this subject. I'm going to press on F4, and what you can see, when I press on F4, it puts in a $ in front of the reference. And I want a $ in front of each component of that reference, so that when I start copying and pasting the formula, it's going to use absolute referencing, so that formula does not change with respect to that database. I'm then going to tell Excel that I would like to get the fourth column from that spreadsheet, 1, 2, 3, 4th, because that's where those grades are. And finally, I would like Excel to return an exact match, so I type in the word false. I close the bracket and it returns the number 66 for Nicholas Aboud there. So just verifying, if I click across to the final exam, I can see that Nicholas did in fact achieve a mark of 66, so the formula is correct. And now I can copy that formula down for the rest of the students, And we can see that the marks have automatically been collated into one space. Well, I hope you found that very useful in terms of collating your grades from different components of the subject. And if you'd like more information about advice, tips in regards to large class teaching, or to ask a question, I'd invite you to visit the blog that we have on large class teaching.